Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of The Road to Rotation. Up this week we have the green-purple Don Quixote do Flamingo. He is a 5,000 power 4-life leader with, at the end of your turn, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So pretty simple ability here. As you can imagine, this being at the end of your turn, this is a deck that will benefit quite nicely from either abilities that are on your opponent's attack or something like that, or from events. But before I get into the kind of on archetype stuff, I wanted to just go over all of the different versions of Doffy, or nearly all of them. There's one or two that I left out. But this is a character who's kind of big in the show, so he's got a lot of support both for his crew and for his characters in general. First one up here is we have a 5-cost 6,000 power 1k counter one. This is the Odyssey one. It has blocker, and at the end of your turn, if you have 2 or more rested characters, set this card as active. So this does let you do multiple swings, which can be pretty effective. And then 2 or more means it really only has to be one other character rested to make it work. So this is a pretty strong thing that is both defensive, protecting your 4-life leader, and offensive, being able to swing on those turns. After that, we have another 5-cost 6,000 power 1k counter. Another blocker this time with on play, if your leader is multicolored, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. So pretty classic ramp ability here. Here it works quite nicely with the ability or with the leader, because one of the things that you want to do with most purple decks is get ahead on Dawn. And this is a great way of doing that. And it also synergizes later with some of the other Doffy cards that we've seen. After that, we have the 7-cost 8,000 power no counter Doffy with on your opponent's attack once per turn, you can pay 1, and this fits well with the leader because you're setting 2 active, but you can pay 1 to rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. This is good at stifling aggression or removing blockers, and it really kind of puts your opponent in a spot where they have to do their swings before they play out their characters. Gives you kind of a Bonnie style effect, a little less effective obviously than the green Bonnie, but a great effect to have on a pretty well-statted character. Biggest downside being that he does not have any counter. After that, we have what I think is probably going to be one of the cooler ones if you're building this deck, the 8-cost 9,000 power no counter Do Flamingo with on play, Dawn -1, play up to 1 Don Quixote Pirates type character card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand. Notably, we have 2 that we already went over that are pretty playable. And then on your opponent's attack once per turn, you may rest 1 of your Dawn cards, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So that definitely works nicely here. You have access to the Dawn you need pretty much every time. One of the things that we've seen with some of the other decks that use this Do Flamingo is you can't really play it out on 8 and get most value out of it unless you're playing out Rosinante, who's a card we'll get into a bit later. But if you are playing green-purple, then you always will have that Dawn open as long as you haven't spent it on something else. So a pretty good card there in that synergy, especially because we already have 2 good 5-drops to use with it. After that, we have the boss monster from OP04 that came out with it. This is a 10-cost, 10,000 power, no counter Do Flamingo with on play, up to a total of 3 of your opponent's rested leader and character cards will not become active on your opponent's next refresh phase. So this is a very good controlling card here, allowing you to lock out multiple attackers turn after turn after turn, because they do not become active. You can chain these Doflamingos into each other and continually block out their attacks, both from lead and from characters. The biggest downside, obviously, is this is a 10 Dawn card. You do still get to hold up some Dawn because of your leader ability. So you're not completely defenseless using up all your Dawn, but definitely one to pay attention to, because 10 drops you can't play turn after turn after turn unless you have a fair amount of counter to counter out of whatever they are continuing to play. So strong card with kind of a time limit on when you can play it. After that, we have the purple 10 cost. This one is designed to go with the purple Doflamingo, but I think it works pretty well here too. It's a 10 cost, 10,000 power, no counter, with on play, Don -3. Choose one. If your leader has the Don Quixote Pirates type, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 8 or less, or up to 3 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 7 or less cannot be rested until the end of your opponent's next end phase. So these two kind of work against each other, and we have some of the other cards that are resting that we have in green. So this prevents you from being able to lock them down, but it also prevents those characters from either being able to attack or block. This is a very strong card that kind of, if you can balance the tension between green resting effects and this freeze style effect, I think you can make a whole lot of use for. It also being able to KO a big body is actually quite good, and not something that can be ignored. And then if you already have something like one of these Doffys on the board, you can make up for that Don -3 pretty easily by getting back one of the Don from this Doffy, and then the other two just from your natural turn. So another great option for top end. After that, we have a card that is exclusive to Don Quixote Doflamingo leaders. It does work in other leaders, but is significantly more effective in this one than it is in some of the others. And it actually doesn't go in the other Doflamingo deck because it's green. But this one is Birdcage. It's a 5 cost stage with, if your leader is Don Quixote Doflamingo, all characters with a cost of 5 or less do not become active in your or your opponent's refresh phases. So this does have a little bit of anti-synergy with your guys, at least in theory. Because this one restands itself, and some of the other 5-drops will have also restand themselves, you get to not be locked down by it, whereas your opponents will. It also has the effect of, at the end of your turn, if you have 10 Don cards on your field, KO all rested characters with a cost of 5 or less, then trash this stage. So this is a great kind of board wipe. Once you've locked down the board with the Birdcage, you spend a couple turns with it locked down, and then when you run out of ways to do Don minuses to keep you off of 10 Don, you get to wipe out all of those characters. And especially if your guys are all restanding, this makes for a pretty effective kind of one-sided board wipe, which is kind of unique for One Piece. Moving on to the rest of the Don Quixote family cards, we have, first up, we have one of our 2Ks, one costs 1,000 power, 2,000 counter, this Baby 5. With, at the end of your turn, you may trash this card, set up 2 of your Don cards as active. This can be important if you need to hold up more than one event. Your leader will already give you 1, but just as a 2K that can sometimes give you extra Don, this is pretty strong. After that, we have 2 cards here that I'll go over kind of both at the same time. They are both our Searcher cards. So they're pretty much the same effect, just one is Baby 5 and one is Sugar, one is green, one is purple. And they are both the 1 cost 1,000 power 1K counter. Activate main, rest 1 Don to search the top 5 for a Don Quixote Pirates type card. And then put the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. Being able to have 2 copies of this means you have a lot of consistency. It does have, these do have a little bit of anti-synergy with Birdcage because you won't be able to use them more than once. But they also, that said, do force your opponent to kind of swing at them. And once you let them go, then you can play down the Birdcage and lock down the things that you use to swing at it. After that, we have the 2 cost, 0 power, 1K counter Sugar. This one's actually pretty interesting and was a pretty core piece to a lot of green decks early on. It has, on your opponent's turn, once per turn, when your opponent plays a character, if your leader has the Don Quixote Pirates type, rest up to one of your opponent's characters, then rest this character. So it allows you to kind of proactively, on your opponent's turn, rest some of their guys. So they have to kind of play around that. And then it also has an on play of rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 less, allowing you to play it out, rest something, have it potentially locked down for Birdcage, and then when your opponent plays anything else, it also will get rested down into the Birdcage, which can be pretty effective. After that, we have Pika, 4 cost 6,000 power, no counter, with end of your turn, pay 1 to set this character as active. Important, that allows you to get around Birdcage. And then it has once per turn. If this character would be KO'd, you may rest up to one of your characters with a cost of 3 or more, other than Pika instead. Giving it a little bit of protection here that fits with some of your larger cards. You can rest your 8 cost Doffys or something like that, because they will be significantly harder for your opponents to swing into. And then just kind of giving you a good sticky body that can stay on the board. After that, we have Diamante, another 5 cost here. 5 cost 6,000 power, 1k counter with blocker again. And notice there's a theme here. We've got 3 different pretty effective blockers at the 5 cost thing. So when you play out your 8 cost Doffy, you get to play out one of these blockers and kind of hold up a lot of defense. This one also has Dawn times 1, end of your turn. If you have 2 or more active Dawn cards, set this card as active, meaning that when you hit the end of the turn, you can stack your triggers such that you get the 2 rested Dawn first from your leader ability, and then are able to set this guy as active at the cost of just having 1 Dawn attached, which is pretty common considering you want to be swinging 7s with this blocker, and then just have him restand to block again. Also, the restand, obviously, as we've mentioned before, is really important with the Birdcage ability. After that, we have Don Quixote Rocinante, 5 cost 6,000 power. Again, another 5,000 or 5 cost. 1k counter with on play, you may trash 1 event from your hand, draw 2 cards. And then end of your turn, if you have 7 or more Dawn cards on your field, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. This allows you to have more access to Dawn in case you need to use it for some of your effects. And it synergizes well with events, which also synergize with your leader ability. Kind of just a lot to like in this card, especially being another 5 cost that you can play off of 8 cost Doffy. So great card, especially if you are able to get rid of some of your events that have bricked out by that point in the game, and then draw some extra cards. After that, we have a newer one here from OP04, 6 cost 8,000 power, Rocinante and Law. Under the rules of this game, also treat this card's name as Trafalgar Law and Don Quixote Rocinante. It also has blocker. We have a whole lot of blocker access in this deck. And then on play, if the number of Dawn cards on your field is equal to or less than the number of Dawn cards on your opponent's field, draw 1 card, then add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So this one does work as a follow-up to the 10-drop Doffy, because you will usually be 1 Dawn behind your opponent at that point, meaning you can get that Dawn back here, get a nice 8k blocker, and draw a card, making for a lot of good effects. And then we can move on to our events. First up, we have our 0 cost event. It happens to be Don Quixote Pirates types, which is great for us, meaning we can get rid of bricks off of a searchable card pretty easily. After that, we have 2 different cards here. They're both 1 cost events. Slightly different here. The first one here in the green one has a counter event of search top 5 for Don Quixote Pirates, and a trigger of activate the counter effect. And the other one is a 1 cost event that has main or counter to look at the top 3 cards for a Don Quixote Pirates type card. So both of these are pretty nice, and that you can use that Dawn that you set active at the end of your turn to get extra searches off of this one, meaning that Dawn doesn't go to waste in the early game, allowing you also to sculpt up your hand to set up for those 8 cost Doffy plays. After that, we have Off-White. This one is a 2 cost event with counter. Up to one of your leader or characters gains 4,000 power during this battle. Then look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal 1 Don Quixote Pirates type character card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. So yet another searcher, this one attached to a plus 4k. And because your leader always gives you 2, it's okay that we're paying a little bit extra for this 4k, whereas a lot of decks now are getting the plus 4 for just 1 Dawn. Getting a second card is actually quite good, especially if you can hit a 2k. Then this can be a 2 cost 6k, which is pretty on rate for events nowadays, also giving you ability to kind of sculpt your hand a little bit. After that, we have Bullet String, 2 cost event with counter, Dawn -1. If your leader has the Don Quixote Pirates type, up to 1 of your leader or character cards gains 2,000 power during this battle. Then that card gains an additional 2,000 power during this turn, making it really hard for your opponent to punch through here. You can make your leader, for example, a 7k for the turn, which is just one way of really stifling aggro, which is usually something that 4-life leaders struggle with. So being able to have this effect and have it most turns available is quite strong. After that, we have from OP10 the 5-cost event God Thread, which is a main KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, then add up to 1 Dawn card from your deck and set it as active, with a trigger of add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. This is just a great removal card at good at keeping tempo with your opponents and getting a little bit ahead in Dawn, letting you set up for your 8-cost Doffy a bit early. That would probably be the most common use case, I would think, is if you are going first, then on 1 and 3, you can do some searches or set up maybe a sugar or something like that. And then on 5 Dawn, you would play God Thread, curving into next turn of the 8-cost Doflamingo, playing out a 5-cost that will put you on curve to be at 10 on the following turn because of the Doffy ability. So these are, because there's so many good cards in this archetype, these are the ones that I wanted to go through. Next thing I will do is hop over to the sim to give you a sample deck list, and we'll see what that looks like. All right, here we have a sample deck list that I put together. This is all Doflamingo Pirates. I think that there are probably some options you could pick outside of Doflamingo Pirates, maybe stuff like Carrot or maybe other resting cards, maybe a Hody Jones or something like that. But I was jiving with the full searchable package here because we get to run multiple searchers here. Just having the whole deck be searchable felt pretty good. Top end, we have 2 of each of the 10 drops. And then our main one is going to be this 8-drop, playing out our 5 drops. 5 drops, we have Rosie, we have both the blockers here, and then we have the bunch of searchers and Birdcage as a kind of finisher there. So not a whole lot to say about this list. I don't think that this leader has quite stood the test of time, but it's still a pretty solid leader. You have some pretty good support in these two packages here, just not benefiting quite as much from the purple Doffy leader ability compared to this one, being 5 life and having a pretty strong ability compared to this one. Kind of makes this one outclassed. The interesting things that you get to do with this one is just essentially keep up so many blockers, because you get to play out your guys and most of your boards are blockers. You get to swing and then have the option to essentially be a 6k leader, because if your opponent swings a 5, you just get a free block here with your guys, and then if they want to swing at your blockers, they're not sending at life. But yeah, this is what I came up with. It did a couple games and it worked reasonably well. Probably some fine-tuning to be had, but I was pretty pleased with it at the end of the day. But that will be it for this Doffy leader. I think that next up we have blue-black Rebecca. So the other side of the Dressrosa conflict, we have the Dressrosa package and another Can't Attack leader. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that, and I will see you guys next week for that. Bye.